The oath of office. In New York, Steve Langford, i24 News.
What a great piece. Let's welcome Kenneth Vecchio, Republican strategist and attorney, and Hamza Khan, Democratic strategist and founder of the Pluralism Project. Ken, I've heard a number of Trump defenders say that, look, when the president says this kind of stuff, he's being authentic, he's being who he is, we should give him credit for being transparent. If that's the case, then shouldn't we give some credit to the Democratic Congresswoman for being authentic in her opposition to Donald Trump?
First point, I'm happy with a Muslim woman, an Italian elf, a half Chinese, half Dutchman getting elected to Congress, so long as they have liberty-minded, small government, economy-boosting principles, which this Congresswoman from Michigan does not. And she also has her first claim to fame being that she's part of the identity politics clan. She's not qualified to be in office. That's a problem to me, which gets me to the second point, which directly addresses what you're asking, is that I don't care that she cursed, used profanity, dropped the F word. It doesn't matter to me at all. It doesn't bother me at all. What I do care about is her using that I word that Steve talked about. I don't like anybody calling for impeachment of President Trump or anybody when it's baseless and not rooted in evidence. There's no probable cause, and you've got leading Democrats out there like Pelosi, Lewis, and Nadler and others who are saying that it's way too premature.
Right. I mean, they're saying it's premature because they need to wait for Mueller. And to that point, I want to ask you on the flip side of this, Hamza, I mean, there are a number of Democrats who have been complaining about Donald Trump's use of horrible language. So shouldn't more Democrats be coming out and condemning Rashida Tlaib?
I think we have plenty of Democrats condemning Donald Trump at this point. And when it comes to Rashida Tlaib, she spoke honestly and from the heart. We're talking about a man who doesn't deserve to be president. He wasn't really elected president. He was elected on a technicality. 3 million more people voted for Hillary Clinton over Donald Trump. He won on the
electoral college is not exactly a technicality. But look, on Ken's point about impeachment,
it's a constitutional technicality in my mind, to be honest with you, David.
But in terms of impeachment, though, I mean, again, wouldn't it be smarter, at least politically, for Democrats to do what Nancy Pelosi has done and say, look, we're just going to wait and see what Robert Mueller presents, and if he presents grounds for impeachment, so be it. But, I mean, there's actually, in addition to this Congressman Tlaib saying we're going to impeach the mother rhymes with trucker, there's another member of Congress who has already introduced articles of impeachment.
So let's get to that point right away. Impeachment is a constitutional right of the Congress. If the House of Representatives decides they want to impeach this guy, they're going to go for it. In terms of when it comes down to whether Rashida Tlaib should have talked about it or not, all politics are local. Obviously, the people in her district agree with her. That's why she's in Congress. And frankly, as a Democrat, I strongly support impeachment of Donald Trump. He's the enemy of the American people, and anyone who supports him is frankly an enemy of our democracy. End of story.
Wow, that's a really strong comment, Hamza, and a completely baseless, meritless, and kind of obnoxious one, since you're talking to a guy right now who's a supporter of Donald Trump. You seem to want to pick and choose.
And you're an enemy of the American people. No argument there. I've seen your movies. They're terrible all the way around. Really poor taste,
you seem to be a total clown to me who has no couth and no understanding of the Constitution. You want to pick and choose what you think is constitutional and what's not. You made this absurd comment that the Electoral College is something that's a technicality, and then you said impeachment is part of the Constitution. That's the only thing that you said right so far. You probably don't even know how impeachment works. That first the Congress has to impeach somebody, then the Senate has to convict them. You seem to want to hang people based on no evidence.
Apparently you don't know what Congress is because the Congress is both the House and the Senate.
I think I'm highly qualified to understand.
Well, Hamza, to the point, I mean, look, I've heard a number of Democrats acknowledge that. Look, I've heard a number of Democrats acknowledge, yeah, they could probably impeach Donald Trump right now if they introduce articles of impeachment. There's probably a majority there to do that, despite what Nancy Pelosi has said. But I haven't found one Democrat who has said that, yes, there are the 60 votes in the U.S. Senate to affirm, to convict on impeachment and throw Donald Trump out of office. Is it really smart for Democrats to go through an impeachment that will likely, barring some major drama coming from Mueller, to really have it go to the U.S. Senate and end up with essentially nothing?
Well, since Donald Trump is working so hard to get rid of Mueller, I think the answer is that, yes, we'll probably find the votes once Mueller's investigation is completed and we have the findings in public.
What does that mean, find the votes? Don't you want things to be based on proof beyond a reasonable doubt and other real constitutional principles like innocent until proven guilty? You don't have any evidence. You're calling for impeachment, and you're calling people an enemy of the United States based on just silly rhetoric.
That's exactly why the Constitution allows for us to have a trial conducted decided by the U.S. Senate. I really think you need to work on your English and reading the U.S. Constitution in English. It doesn't seem to me that you have any idea what you're really talking about.
Given that I'm the author of the best-selling criminal law books in the country that are like 1,600 pages long by the largest publisher, I think I understand the English language very well.
Well, let's talk about something else we might understand, and that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. A lot of people can dance in college, and yet there was some video that was put together by some conservatives who are critics of her. Here it is, showing that, yes, she was dancing in college and sort of making fun of her. What's the political point of Democratic critics putting this out there?
I don't see any reason to criticize this woman for dancing in college. In fact, it looks kind of fun to me what she's doing. I also don't have any problem, like I mentioned earlier, with this other woman congressman using profanity. That stuff to me is meaningless. The only other thing that this gentleman said that's correct is, hey, people elected her, and if they want to hear her curse and use profane language and they want to see her dance, they'll re-elect her. But I hope that they elect the people based on their principles and values.
Kenneth Vecchio and Hamza Khan, thank you both for coming on. We appreciate it. Interesting debate. Coming up, we've got some tiny homes that are having a huge impact on Detroit. We will explain why. And in Cirque du So Strange, the last adoption story you would expect to see. It's a cross-species love of family that cannot be denied. I think Ken Vecchio has one of these cows that is feeding a bunch of dogs. We'll see.